Hey everyone, welcome to another $1,000 strap search. I've got my $1,000 in singles here and I'm about to show you what I found. But before I do, let's talk about this week's tip. Now, I've mentioned this one in the past, but people have brought it up in comments, so I figure I'll hit it one more time. The notes that I have, let's face it, they're on the expensive side. I got quite the collection. When you start to put a dollar amount to them, it blows my mind to think that I've got that much invested in some of this stuff. But the thing is that I don't keep them at my house. I keep them in a safety deposit box. I can't stress enough how important that is. It would be very easy for someone to break into and take everything I own if I kept it at my house. Uh, I'm not home all the time. There's usually somebody here. But the fact of the matter remains that you can't protect everything all the time. Why not spend $40 a year on a safety deposit box? A lot of you are going to say, well, if I do that, I can't see my notes. Well, I understand that. But that's exactly why I started my channel in the first place. I did this channel so that I could make videos about my notes. I can always see my notes, and I never have to worry about what is left in my house because they're back in the bank. It's such a peace of mind knowing that I don't have to worry about it. Um, there is one thing you should be aware of, though. Check with your bank because your bank may not insure anything you place in that safety deposit box. You may think it's safe, but if something was to happen at the bank, there may not be, the bank may not be responsible. That might be part of the clause. So double check with your bank just to make sure. If the stuff is not insured when it's in a safety deposit box, well, talk to your insurance company. Or you could look at all the records of how many times anything has ever happened anywhere to a safety deposit box in the last 50 years, and maybe that'll give you enough peace of mind not to worry about it. Anyway, I highly, highly recommend keeping stuff in a safety deposit box, and I also recommend doing what I do. Make a short little video showing the stuff that you've got. You don't even have to make it a public video. I chose to make mine public just in case anybody was curious on different things, and started with a couple talking points, and well, look at me now. If you don't have the desire to become a YouTuber, you can always upload the videos and keep them private. That way you can see any of your notes anytime you want without the risk of having tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars of notes just sitting around the house. You can only make things so safe, right? All right. Let's take a look at what I found this week. We'll get those out of the way and take a peek here. First, I found a birthday note, 1954, December 31st, New Year's Eve. That's kind of neat. Here is a trinary, 3s, 6s, and 8s. Another trinary, 3s, 4s, and 9s. Quad zeros. Before I go any further, I searched 1,000 notes, and in that 1,000 notes, that was it. I found 3 trinaries. That's how tough they are to find. And even with them being that hard to find, most websites are still going to tell you they're not worth anything over face value. That's why I show these. I'm not showing these because I think they're worth anything. I show all my finds to give you guys an idea of how frequently you're going to find them. Now, 3 in 1,000 may not seem like very much, but every week I find trinaries. So even if I only find three or four of them, I still find them every week. That's how common they are. Versus how many times do I find radars, or how many times do I find repeaters, or anything that actually qualifies as a fancy note. If I'm finding multiple every week, they're not rare. All right, so here's quads. Quad zeros on this one. Quad ones. Quad fives. Quad fives with a 5th. Quad fives again. These are all crisp because they're all part of the same run. Quad fives with another 5th, and it's a trinary, 5s, 6s, and 7s. Still not worth anything. Another quad 5s, quad 6s with a 5th. Quad sixes again, quad sevens, quad eights, and another quad eights. Some stars, 2017 A star note. This one from New York. You can see the stars are not filled in, but it's in good shape. Another 2017 A. This one's got a I don't want to know what that is. Let's see, 2017. Another 2017. Always checking to see if your stars are filled. 2017. Now, one of the things about those filled stars, there are filled stars and there are not filled stars. Some people will tell you there are partially filled stars, and I will say no, they're not. It's either filled or it isn't filled. It's like being pregnant. You can't be partially pregnant. You either are or aren't. So anyone trying to tell you that they have a partially filled star, no, that means that there's just a little bit of over inking there, and that's not how a filled star works. A filled star is generally when part of the plate, that little center part, ends up being rounded or chipped or something to that effect, and that fills the star in. Even if it is the case where the star itself is slightly over-inked, if any of the individual letters are over-inked, that's not worth anything. So why would the star being slightly over-inked be worth anything? And if it doesn't completely fill the star in, once again, why would that be worth anything? It's no different than any other digit being slightly over-inked. That's why you always hear me say about check to see if your stars are filled in, and if it's not completely filled in, then it's not filled in. Period. End of story. Close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades. So, all right, another 2017. Another 2017 star. 2017 star. 2013 B note. But this number is too high, so it's not one of the duplicate notes. 2013, this one from San Francisco, another 2013 there, another 2013 from Dallas, and another 2009 from New York. And then some older notes, 2003A, another 2003A, 2003A, 2003, 2003, 1993, hard year to find. And the oldest note I found, this is a 1969B. It actually has a little bit of crispness to the paper. It's a Minneapolis note, so I don't see very many of those. There just aren't a whole lot of those printed. Hopefully this will fill a hole in my big book. All right, so that's what I found this week. What did I bring out? This, I find amazing. I scratch my head a lot about this, and my jaw just kind of goes a little slack. Let me show you. This is a 50-cent fractional, okay? I believe this is the 3rd series fractional, and if I'm remembering correctly, this is the note that replaced the Spinner note. Spinner put himself on one of the 50-cent fractionals, and that eventually got taken out, and they replaced it with this. This particular note is actually in really good condition for what it is. You can see right here what looks like this gold metallic overlay. That's actually a print that was used. They printed glue on the note itself, and then they sprinkled bronzing powder on it and brushed it all away. Very messy process. And it's part of the reason why this didn't continue that way. But the bronzing powder would only stick to where the glue is, and it gave this cool bronze metallic effect to these notes. Most of these notes would end up getting wet, and because of the environment, the bronzing powder would turn green. So on many notes, you get this, what looks like a green print, but it's actually bronze that is oxidized. So that's cool. 50-cent fractional. This one here has the red back, and a lot of you are going to see that it's got inking on the back here like this. Before I get to that, if you look at the back, they did the same overprint on the back with glue and used the bronzing powder. And as I turn this, you can see the bronze actually shine. You can see that. So this particular note, when I look at it, I don't see any major creases or anything. So this note is actually really nice. It's in really good condition. And that's still not the best part about this note. And none of this is why I'm shocked. The part that I'm shocked by is this is a regular note. But the signature, that's Spinner's signature. And that's the treasurer's signature. I can't make that one out right there. Those are actual signatures. And you know they're actual signatures because when you look at the back, you can see the ink coming through the paper. Both of them, the ink comes through. These are hand signed. I couldn't believe that circulated notes were hand signed. These particularly. I mean, weren't they a little busy during the Civil War? I mean, it's just kind of amazing to think that. And I know there's signatures on every note, but like I said, these are hand signed. How many of these were in existence? How long did Spinner sit there signing notes? It's just amazing to think that this is hand signed. Now, let me show you what the book has to say, because this also hurts my brain. All right, there's the note up top. All of these are different varieties of that note. All of those, okay? But only, what is it, 1355? Yeah, 1355. It says 183D, red reverse, autographed signatures of Colby and Spinner. And then there's the different varieties. There's without surcharges, with the surcharge on the reverse, and with the surcharge fiber paper. And you can see the prices here. Mine is the first one. There are no surcharges on mine. But once again, you can see red reverse, autographed. It says autographed right there, autographed. In VG8 is only $110. Really? In 12, it's 135, 20 is 175, and EF40, it's 250. Choice uncirculated is 500, all the way up to gem at $1,100. Now, mine is certainly not a 20. Mine might be in the 40 range, $250. I don't have what I paid for it right off the top of my head, but I know I got it cheap because I was unsure whether it was the autographed one or not. They were saying it was, and it wasn't until I held it in my hand that I knew it. So to have an autographed note, just to make sure I've got this right, let's see, third issue. Yes, this is the third issue. And they call the figure seated figure of justice holding scales. That's what they call that figure on there. And the third issue, I'm just going to check right here. Third issue right here. I don't know if you can read it, but the third issue was issued December 5th, 1864 to August 16th, 1869. So that's the third issue Fractionals. Just completely stunned. Now, you saw all there was, what, 1, 2, 3 different variations. And then they showed prices for 8, 10, 12, 20, 40, and then 60, 63, 65. Which implies that there are all of those different notes out there. Just imagine signing your name that many times. Now think of how many hundreds, if not thousands, of these notes had to have been signed at the time. It's easy to think that you could have other people signing it, but that's Spinner's signature, and I don't think anybody else was signing for Spinner. And he was the treasurer. You'd think he had other things to do other than sit in an office all day signing his name thousands of times. But nonetheless, there it is. Now, it is cut crooked on the bottom. You can see how the cut kind of goes into the signature there. If I recall, these were all hand cut. And like I had said, this is not a specimen. This was the note. It just happens to be his actual autograph. So a rather stunning revelation. Just didn't even know something like this existed, and yet I was able to score one of these at a great price. Something that you guys should also be on the lookout for. All right, if you learned anything new this week, go ahead and hit that like button. If you like what you see and you want to see more, please subscribe. I love reading all your comments. Guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.